A few years ago, don't know where I saw this, but it looked really neat and useful. So I'm going to tell you about it. I believe it's a British company. They've been around about 10 years or so. They lost a lot of money. Finally, Mercedes bought into them for about 10%. And they're putting it into all sorts of automobile navigation systems. So that's what pays the bills. But let's start at the beginning. The idea is a super simple way of describing where you are in a 10-foot square precision, which is pretty darn good. A lot long you can do that, but you got to put a lot of digits in. And then which system are you going to use? And there we go, next page. Get this out of the way. Why use it? You're standing in a field and there's something burning a couple hundred yards from you, and there's no streets and there's no signs and there's no landmarks, and you need to tell fire services where the burning thing is. That's why it's useful. Post disasters, Katrina, all the street signs were gone, all the buildings down, everything flooded. Street addresses meant nothing. No roads, no internet. The GPS system makes this work, and we all have these nifty smart computer pocket things. And it's free. I thought this was cool. This is on the Wikipedia page for What3Words. They took a piece of, looks like London, and somebody wrote some software to suck the addresses out of a bunch of squares. And there's no system to it, but there is a system to it. Their algorithm creates a unique 3-word address for every 10-foot square on the planet. It takes 40,000 words in your dictionary to do that. That stores on your phone in 5.5 megabytes. That's no big deal for our devices. So it doesn't need any connection except to be able to see the sky to know what 3 words is. 57 trillion 3-meter squares. Somebody figured out that was the optimum way to make this work. Much easier to say and see and share. You could teach a 2-year-old the What3Words of their front door, and they could tell somebody that they got lost. They have a lot of good example pictures on their website, so I stole them all. You're trying to find somebody else at a market. There's no street address of this market. You're standing, at a temporary tent. Side of the road somewhere in the boonies. Trying to tell the ambulance where to go. And there's nothing around but some grass and some asphalt. There's that burning thing I talked about. These are all real addresses. You can put them in the database or the website, and it'll show you where that is. I love this one. Dead car, side of road, Saudi Arabia somewhere, probably. How do you tell AAA where you are? Yeah, very much. I think I've been on that stretch of road. Yeah. How do you get it? It's free. Runs on Android or iOS devices. I found out that you have to have Android minimum version 7.1 because I'm going through all my old Android stuff to see what I can get it running on. One of the gadgets I brought is a heavy-duty, mil-spec Android tablet. New, these are about $1,100. Same company that makes the Panasonic Tough books. Somebody found out that they make Tough pads. This thing has got GPS, cellular capability, loaded for bear, waterproof. You could, take it in the pool and read books on it. About $1,100 new. Seattle City Surplus, you can get them for $30, $40. And it can't run What3Words, but I'm going to find one that does. Meanwhile, it runs a whole bunch of other cool stuff. So I got a mil-spec, bulletproof tablet. Got several of these, actually. Bought a whole bag of them from one of the Red Cross guys. But this is a big one. I really like this guy. So anyway, if you got Android 7.1, and I don't know what the minimum is for iOS, and any device with a web browser and data service. You can just use the website. But I like that it works without internet. App is free. The car companies are paying for licenses to have it installed in their fleets of cars that have navigation systems. So we get it for free. The whole dictionary is on your device. Every 10-foot square, the address will never change. The database is locked down. Why? How would you use it? You can surf around in the app to any place and you go, oh, yeah, there's that rock outside my front door. You could grab that address and give it to somebody. You don't have to go there. You could play on the maps. You can also save them in the app. You can save your favorite places. You're going camping, put a marker in your phone for where your tent is. You're off hiking and you get lost. Even without cellular, you can navigate back. It'll give you range and bearing to any other 3-word address with no internet service. Standalone in your device. So get out your old phones, give them something to do. How would you use it in an emergency? This has been in use in the UK, Canada, many other countries for about a decade. If you call 999 in the UK, which is their 911, and you don't know where you are, they'll text you a link. And you click on the link and it downloads the app, and then you can tell them where you are. I was talking to Lynn about we should do that for bike events and walking events. If we can't get them to put it on the phone ahead of time, have your call takers have that link ready to go. They're on a cell. They're calling you on your cell. Help, I'm stuck. I'm crippled. I'm in a ditch. Send the link to them. They download the app. They tell you their address. Super nifty. Seattle Fire doesn't use it yet. I talked to somebody there. LA Fire does. So it's coming. I like this feature. I didn't know about it. You could take a picture on your phone, grab the What3Word address where you're standing and paste a little sticker in the picture. And then you send that to whomever you're now talking to. And they know not only what you're seeing, but where you're at. All over the place. It's getting used. I follow their Twitter stream. Lots of great stories of how this is being used every day.
Have the Mariners adopted it?
To whom?
The voters.
I believe so. Yeah, it works just as well out in the middle of the ocean. You know, you got a 10-foot square of water out there. Doesn't do much for your depth, but at least 2 dimensions. You get it from either Google's Play Store or Apple's App Store. I told you this wasn't going to take long. Cellular service is great because then you get maps. You can actually, it's picking up your location and it's showing you a satellite view of where you're at. And you can move it around a little bit and say, oh, I want people to know it's that spot. But it will work fine in compass mode without any cell connection. Another example, trying to get people to meeting up downtown. It's probably a street address for that huge building they're standing by. But where exactly are we meeting? I thought this was a great idea. Music festivals. How the hell do you find somebody at a music festival? It's just a piece of grass with somebody's rug on it. Beautiful. And all you got to do, you can send a link from the app to somebody by email or text, and it's got the web address built in. So if they just click on it, they don't have to have the app. Their browser will take them to a picture of where you are. There's a good use for it. We're on a friggin' glacier somewhere. How do we know where to tell the choppers to come? I like this one too, for San Francisco. Actual.sung.views. There are problems with the dictionary. I think they made a mistake when they added both plurals and singular words. but you can't change it now. It's too late. So you have to spell. Yeah, that's why we have the phonetic alphabet. You have to spell it right. But that's the unique address. And yes, the order matters. Very much matters. How do you learn this thing? Put it on your phone. Start playing with it. Show it to your friends and family. This is not a ham thing. This is an anybody thing. Everybody should know about this. This is life-saving stuff, but it's fun too. Kids get into it. I was telling Lynn, I work some of the Seattle Community Hub exercises. They've got their neighborhood gathering spots, and they've got regular folks coming together, figuring out how are we going to manage when nothing's working for several days before FEMA shows up or whatever. And we were sending people out with walkie-talkies who never use radios in two-person teams on a scavenger hunt. We had a list of things for them. And I was playing EOC. And we were going to send them to go find a blue Prius or a green garden hose and give us a location. I went, I had to put What3Words on their phones before they left base. They got into it right away. No training required. Put the app, read it. They had a ball. We had a ball. I'm logging like crazy. Okay, we found the red Toyota. Here's the license plate. Here's the What3Words. Where do we go next? Practicing windshield surveys, basically. They're patrolling their neighborhoods, figuring out where the problems are. And it was fun. Like I said, teach your kids where their front door is, what the address is. What do I need What3Words when I've already got Google Maps? They had some good questions on the website, so I stole them all. Google Maps is excellent. It's a tool for navigation, public transport, and for looking up points of interest. It's a very different function to be able to describe an exact location. Yeah, you can share your location in Google Maps. Again, in our world, we assume there isn't going to be any working cell towers when we really need this. So, but we'll have radios. Our radios will work fine. So we can look at our phone, get it, What3Words, and call that in. Here's the problem. Here's where I'm at. Send people when you can. And if you do have internet on your device, you can tell it to use whatever mapping app you've got. So someone gives you a What3Words address. You can tap on it, and it will open Google Maps to that spot. So it translates to what Google Maps or whatever. I like maps.me. That'll run on the old Android, by the way. Maps.me doesn't require any internet at all. You load the map into RAM, into storage. As long as your GPS is working, it's got Seattle. It's got the whole area, and that works pretty well. Does it work without a phone signal? I've already touched on this, but this is really important. This is the biggest criticism that I didn't know the answer to, and I looked on the website, and they've covered that. They call it compass mode. It's got the whole dictionary on your device. It's got a GPS looking at the satellites. It works standalone on Android and Apple devices. No cellular connection required. But you won't see any maps. It'll still give you the addresses. It's still translating your location to the 3-word address. You move over a few feet, it's going to change. And we can call that in over a radio. So we're good. Again, you can have What3Words automatically bring up whatever your favorite navigation app is on your device if you have that capability at that time. You can go to their website, go to the products page and look at navigation, find out what apps already understand. Google Maps does not directly, but there's an add-in for your browser that will let you do that, where you can just type the What3Words address and it tells Google Maps what to do. Can I send a What3Words address to someone who doesn't have the app? Yeah, you can just send them a link. The phone will build that link for you, and you can text it or mail it or WinLink it or APRS it or whatever. What3Words.com/ word 1 dot word 2 dot word 3. It automatically goes to their, assuming they've got internet, goes to the website, looks that up, displays it on the screen. They could also type it in manually. This I came up with as I was thinking about how you would use that in our world with our day-to-day public service events or whatever. Ideally, get all of the participants to put this on their devices before the event, so that when they call in, they can tell us where they are. Scavenger hunts, I already mentioned. Make it a part of your practice, your exercises, your drills, your fun. If you go to a SWAT meet, figure out what the What3Words is of your booth. You can tell people where to find you. I think the last one is make people give you their location. When I was a child at the age of 18, they gave me an ambulance to drive. I couldn't believe they let me drive an ambulance. I knew nothing. All you had to have in California in 1972 was advanced first aid from the Red Cross and a CPR card from the Heart Association. You took a written test at the DMV, and they gave you an ambulance driver's license. And it was fun. I did a lot of cool stuff. What was drilled into our brains when dispatch called, you always answer with your location. They didn't have trackers on the vehicles back then. They had no idea. Sometimes we lied. Sometimes we told them where they thought we should be, and we weren't there. We were at the park a couple miles away playing Frisbee with the volume cranked up on the radio so we could hear them yelling for us. We got pretty good at that. But I will never not be able to respond on the radio when someone asks me. I'm always going to say my location. I can't help it. It was burned in. But make that a part of the exercise. Make people be conscious of, yes, we can talk to them, but we don't know where you are. If you tell us where you are, that's useful information. Wikipedia's got a nice page on it. Obviously, the What3Words site's got tons of good stuff. Lynn found this link at the What3Words site, step by step, how to use the app. All the information's there. Get it on and play with it.
Nicely written too. I was reading.
Yeah. Oh, they're really
They've got
working
these
it.
little lessons that don't take long to go through, and it's.
And I'll make sure you guys have the link, but I made a permanent link to this slide deck so you can share it as whatever you wish. That's it. That's how you do it. There's not much more, but I'll answer any questions you got.
Is like you kind of touched on it. Is there any indication that it's coming to other mapping apps? Because I counted them, 5 mapping applications on my phone right now, excluding What3Words.
Well, again, What3Words isn't really a mapping app, but it will
Talk to them.
you can tell it what your default navigation app is.
But I'm not even looking for navigation. I've got like multiple apps on here that do offline layers, and so I have like the Forest Service, and I have Trailports for biking, and I have this, that, and the other thing in Gaia. I've got Sartopo, Caltopo that we use.
Yeah.
Rescue that's got a bunch of different layers in it for various uses. So like in What3Words, it's like I would love to just be able to, if I'm given What3Words, plug it into one of those that I already know, that I already understand, that has the layers I care about, already saved offline, cached offline. So now I
tell the developers. But meanwhile, if somebody gives you a What3Words address, you enter it in your What3Words app, and then you say map it, and it goes to the navigation app that you want it to.
Well, it won't share out to those other ones. Like it'll share out to
Yeah, it will.
Google Maps.
It will. You just tell it which app, and it'll go deliver lat long to it or whatever it accepts. I can't say I've tested a lot of the ones that you have, so
Fair.
I would be really interested in what you find out what works with it. But supposedly on their website, if you go to navigation, they've got a list of apps that understand What3Words addresses. That's the idea.
Yeah, it's doing it for like traditional navigations. Google Maps, Apple Maps, and Lyft are like 3 I have. But like the InReach Garmin Explorer app doesn't show up. Caltopo doesn't show up. Gaia doesn't show up.
Okay. But I'd be interested to see if you can tell What3Words to go to an app that they don't necessarily support and see what happens.
Yeah, cool.
See what it actually tries to pass
Yeah.
to that app.
The other interesting thing is if I tell it to navigate with Google Maps, it comes up with an exact address.
Oh, yeah, probably. Yeah.
And once,
I did.
once you do that,
Thanks for telling.
you can drop that information into any of them.
Oh, for sure. And you can also copy you can enable lat long and you can copy that out, but mind you, it copies the What3Words and the lat long, so they have to paste it into another app to round trip it through there to then get the lat long out to then go to where
Yeah.
you want to go. So it's still clunky that way.
It's a little clunky, but at the same time, the data's there.
Yeah, but that's where I was hoping like longer term, I hope that there's indications that it's being integrated into other applications
I would hope so.
and other services, because then that way you can just drop their app entirely and
I really want to see this get some momentum. It hasn't been around that long. I mean,
Yeah.
10 years in our world doesn't mean much. But I'm definitely pushing it because I've never seen anything like it.
Right.
I don't know of anything better to easily describe where you are without knowing anything about mapping systems, 10T military map coordinates, grid square stuff. Civilians don't know any of that. You can teach this to anybody.
Yeah.
That's the brilliance of it. Simple as brilliant.
So have Ramrod or Seattle Marathon, are you guys using it there yet?
I have this conversation with planning committees and net control operators all the time. I cannot say it's caught on.
Where now you said that you guys had talked a little bit about some bike events and stuff. What events have you actually tried using it on thus far?
I can't use it if the organizers aren't interested.
Okay.
I still think call takers should be able to send the app out. Yeah, we got to find out where they are.
Yeah.
Whatever facilitates that. I don't care what the organizers think. That's the job of the call taker. That's why I was fascinated by what the UK folks are doing.
Mhm.
They just send a link to the app. They don't try to get them to tell, what road do you recognize, or, do you see a red barn near you or whatever. Just send them the app, install it, click on it. And it's like, why can't we do that? There's no reason. I'm sure there's a link at the website that specifically takes you to the download. And you just pick which kind of phone you got. So that would be the link that you'd want your call takers to send to people that can't tell you where they are. Problem solved. And then maybe the organizers start paying attention when people say, yeah, we didn't know how to tell your operator where we were, and they helped us. That's a sales bit right there.
True.
It's like, because most people don't know this exists. That's why I'm here. This was Roland and Lynn's idea. They know how passionate I am about this. They said, why don't you teach it to us? I go, okay, I'll try.
Yeah.
I hope I did.
So
I just want to get you to try it.
on your CERT exercise that you did, have you tried to use it with other CERT activities at Seattle CERT?
If I show up, yeah, it's not CERT. It's actually called the Seattle Emergency Hubs.
Okay.
There's about 80 of them. And these people are amazing. This is all grassroots. The city did not invent it. Neighborhoods invented it.
Okay.
Very amazing stuff. And I just like bringing things to their attention. I go to them to help with the outreach, to talk radio with folks, GMRS, especially because that's what they use. And I've met some great people. Went to North Ballard to their thing last Sunday. And I'm sitting there with my gear and looking very radio-ish. And a very nice older lady came up and said, I'm a retired engineer. I just got my technician license. I don't even have a radio yet, but I really want to help my hub. I said, we need to talk. I love meeting people like that. That's why I go out there. Because number one, most citizens have no idea what's available to them. GMRS, $35 for your whole family for 10 years, $70 for an HT from Amazon. I get a couple of them. And I give them my card and say, email me the questions, I'll help you. And I don't push hand, but this lady that just got her license, yes, instant Elmering. And she's an engineer. She's not going to have problems with this stuff. And she's already into her neighborhood. She's connected with them and she's got a tool. She doesn't know how to use it yet, but she's already licensed. That's going to be a big benefit because if she shows up during an emergency, she can talk to the Seattle EOC. They don't listen to GMRS. They do listen to AM channels. But that's my thing is to go meet folks,
Yes.
go see what they're doing and learn what they need
Yes.
from the radio side.
Yep.
It's really impressive what they're doing. But no, if I do any more of these things, I'm going to throw What3Words in. It's in my toolkit. I want to put it in their toolkit too. It's free. Why would you not want this on your phone? It's free. Sir.
Sorry, I'm going to be the devil's advocate. First, I do realize that this is a good idea and should be implemented. But you already touched on it, that it's not implemented in King County on any emergency services.
Well, that's not quite true. We've got 911 text capability here in King County.
They tell the 3 words, they don't know what you mean.
Doesn't matter. You send them a link. Your app can create a link. You just text
But
it to
they're
them.
not on their cell phones. They're
Right. It goes to their dispatch console.
It'll open in the web browser on their dispatch console just fine.
okay.
Yeah, but believe me, if I can in any way, I'm going to push on Seattle PD and Seattle Fire. Meanwhile, you can send them a link. They don't even have to know what that is. They can click on it and they'll see where you're at.
Another thing, you said it's free, but it requires an account.
I think you can use it without an account, but
You can use it
Without, you can use it without an account.
The website
you
you
just
can, but
can't-
not the app. It
Yeah, the
required an
outlook,
app.
you just set it up just fine without an account.
yeah, you can skip the account part.
I mean, there we
Just
go.
get the account.
You can even use it without GPS technically.
I don't blame them for trying to collect information. Everybody does that. But if you can use it without it, that makes me happier.
And
You don't
the,
have to, that's a step you don't want to do in a 911 situation.
yeah, requiring somebody to do something.
Correct.
And my last one was, I was playing with it yesterday. I was at Panera's in Redmond and it said I was at Taco Time, kind of wandering around the parking lot. It wasn't accurate at all. It was off hundreds of
Well, the
feet.
problem is that's probably the fault of the GPS system, not of the What3Words app.
Still has to
If
be-
I'm downtown Seattle, I get some screwy locations. You've got tall buildings, you're blocking signals, they're bouncing all over the place. If you look at, I'm not moving and you can see my dot moving around on aprs.fi, that's not the fault of the app. That's GPS radio. It's gonna be weird places. There's not much you can do about that. My suggestion would be move a little bit, get a different address, and then, maybe you can kind of get a boundary, but I'm still new to this. I've only been playing with it a couple of years. So all of us are learning and I'm interested in whatever you learn. Feel free to beam it to me because I will make use of it, learn from it, pass it on.
Yeah, a question from the gallery.
Oh, really?
Go ahead, Ken.
Yeah. One thing is, even like at my work, if somebody sent me a link, I'm probably not clicking on it if I don't know the security of that link. And I imagine people in government would feel the same way. With that said, I mean, if the GPS function I know out here, yeah, I got an iPhone 7. It does not work when we're down. I mean, period. I know work needs to buy me a new phone, but otherwise, I go up to like Cherry Falls or something, and there's no cell phone or anything else up there. And if even a few tall buildings interfere with it. But my comment is if you're going to send a GPS link or a link to some government official, if they're properly trained, they're not going to click on that because it could be malware or a virus.
Well, my point is, if you're in a 911 situation, you've probably already sent them something about what's going on. It probably will not be your first transmission. You tell them that you're being attacked with somebody with a knife and you're able to get the link to them. That sounds a little iffy, but just sending it to them cold. Yeah, I can understand your concern.
Yeah,
That's part
but
of
you got a lot of bad actors out there nowadays that could say I'm under attack, and that's my question, that unless they know what you're sending them, they don't want to infect their system, would be my comment.
I'm sure they have some protections in this 911 text system. I'm sure it's not just going to somebody's email address, but I don't know how that works. I'm glad it exists.
Well,
That's still really new. in a lot
Clickable
of-
links are dangerous.
Well, but that's not our job. 911's, they've got their own IT people. You should be able to send them whatever you need to send them. I'm just saying, they don't have to know what it is. If you say, here's where I am, I've got an app on my phone that gave me this. I don't see how they'd have a problem with that, but you have some good concerns. It's not perfect. I just don't know anything better. I'd like someone to show me something better. It has a lot of potential and the price is right. So try it out and see. Every tool we use has limitations. You don't know that until you use it and talk about it and share what you've learned. An HT isn't a cell phone. That's my favorite expression lately. New hams think that HT is going to do everything. It's like, nope. The first lesson in radio is limitations. What can the equipment do? What it cannot do? HT can't do very much.
Which is a good thing.
Yes, it is. Anything else? Anybody else online?
A lot of people online.
Yeah.
So who's got it up and running on their phone?
I've had it.
I don't know how well it's going to work in here.
It works pretty good in here.
It's not bad.
We're actually at about 14-foot accuracy in here.
That's pretty good.
9, 10. Yep.
Well, and I'm further from the windows than you are.
Oh, I'm outside now.
If I walk out the door, it'll put me within a 10-foot box. My GPS, I've already got set to high precision.
So, Bill, what's the significance of the three red slashes before?
That's just their logo.
That's just their logo.
Just below, okay.
Yeah, if you type that into Google, it doesn't know what the hell to do with it.
Okay.
Lynn,
I represented the ARRL out at the Glacier Waterton Ham Fair back in July and brought up What3Words. And I was sitting in the back corner. The previous speaker was talking, and so I wrote down the 3 words where I was. So I got up in front of the group. Then, of course, it was a different batch of 3 words, and I did a brief explanation. I said, now I want you to know that chair that was empty, here's the address, and now I'll tell you where I'm at right now. And it just blew everybody away right there. What was really neat, I asked people who were familiar with it. This one guy jumped all over that and pretty much took over the conversation. He really knew what he was talking about. I think we made some converts out there. Montana's a big place.
Yeah.
I think it's just gonna take time.
Yeah.
Sorry for being late,
no problem.
out of town people. I think it's just gonna take time, just like anything.
Yeah.
I think, like Ken was talking the other night, when we were yakking, is that long has been the religion forever. And any change like that, any increase or anything like that, and you were talking about it, the SAR doesn't use it. But I think over time, it's going to be very, very successful. It's just going to take acceptance. Change is always tough.
Try giving your lat long over the radio.
Oh,
Yeah.
boy. Especially with the precision of this, because that's 2 8-digit numbers.
Now, Lynn, Roland, and myself have an obvious application for this little event called Plane 100.
Yeah.
That there was some times we were looking for people for hours because, well, I'm at the big rock that looks like a bear, and 50 yards over there is the big bear that looks like a rock. If they could have sent this on their phone, we would have been like right there.
That's why I think it's so great to talk about this, because we're already doing a first responder type service to the public all the time. So you joke question?
Sorry,
Oh, okay.
I sent a text to somebody who's up there, and the text was the link. So
Awesome.
he said he can see me. So I'm just
Excellent.
waiting to see if he responds.
Cool.
we can practice this and learn what it's good for. And there's nothing wrong with teaching our police and fire brethren about things. One of the cool things we're doing at Seattle ACS, a few years ago, they moved us out from underneath the police department. Now we're directly under the mayor's office as part of the Office of Emergency Management, budgetary and political upheaval. The best part of that is that the fire department wants us to start working with them, and they are the emergency responders for everything else. Cops are going to be doing cop stuff. We should never have been aligned with the police in the first place. Fire is going to be running disaster response. They are welcoming us with open arms, having some really great short duration, like 4-hour exercises over the last couple of years, where we basically go into the station, pretending there's been a major earthquake, learning how Seattle Fire changes their operations in that situation. They go separate. Every battalion is standalone.
Yeah.
They're assuming 911's down, their fire radios are working, but they go independent. They go out and do windshield surveys, and they liked our bow things. They said, your radios work better than ours. We brought in WinLink, we brought in Starlink, we brought in APRS. They want us to put radios in their stations, and they said, how fast can you get here? Pretty nice to be working with an agency like that. And sitting in on some of their briefings, this one battalion chief, we were sitting there with our jaws on the floor. He was very matter-of-factly telling some of his new guys how this thing works, where they separate the city into all these battalions, and how there isn't going to be any help coming from other stations. It's going to be one truck, a few people, and they're going to be dragging civilians and handing them stuff. He was talking from what they've learned from other cities and other disasters. And their eyes were big and our eyes were big. It was like, holy shit. But they are planning for how to deal with it. They're going to need all the help they can get.
You know, there in this century, at one of the large San Francisco, I believe, was an earthquake event. There was a bunch of pictures that were posted in the media of San Francisco firefighters with a whole bunch of civilian guys on the 2.5 hose putting water on a great big burning building.
Yep.
And it wasn't because the San Francisco fire said, hey, you come over here. They were on the hose before they were asked, because, hey, this is our goddamn neighborhood.
Yeah.
We want to help.
Yeah.
And
It's going to
San
be
Francisco, in their
game.
wisdom, refused that help.
Also, this battalion chief, very matter-of-factly, explained to us that there's new buildings going up in Seattle that do not meet modern earthquake standards.
Jeez.
Who the hell let that happen?
That wasn't good news,
No.
because LA has very stringent standards. Apparently, they're not been adopted here. So it was really neat to be a fly on the wall and learn a little bit about how they function. And we're moving forward on figuring out what we can do for them, what they can do for us. How do we actually join forces? You know, that's going to be amazing. We don't expect the radios to go down, but we got to practice for that too.
Absolutely.
That could happen.
And just like the Squally earthquake, I was the battalion chief on duty with East Side Fire, and immediately the system did not go down. It was overcrowded,
Swamped.
and they had their pipeline into the Port of Seattle and South King County, trying to move data through a hole that big, but the data they were trying to stuff through that hole was that big. And as soon as they turned that off, 800 came back. But for a while, it wasn't working. And then with everybody hitting their button, they didn't get their bonk, so they kept hitting it. So instead of being 10 stations in queue, there was 1,000.
Right, because it remembered all of those key ups.
Exactly.
I was in the Seattle EOC the day of the Seahawks victory parade. It was a very calm day. They had tons of people on the street, big parade. All cell coverage in the downtown area quit.
Yep.
Completely down.
Swamped.
It was not an emergency.
Yep.
There was about 750,000 people on the streets, and they were all doing something on their phones.
Yep.
Even
Someone
us sitting in the
sensor.
EOC using the Wi-Fi made no difference. The back ends were totally overwhelmed.
Yep.
And
Level of saturation.
the after action report, which was really educational, said that about 75% of the time that officers on the street, what they were doing was talking to citizens who were trying to relay 911 requests because nobody's phones were working. We should have had a mess of hams on the street with HTs and vests. There was like 2 days to plan. They weren't ready for that thing. And there were a few, people in ditches and gutters and whatever, but that was the biggest part of the learning was how fragile the cell system is. And I tell people all the time, if the ground shakes, everyone's going to open their phone and call somebody, and boom, so much for the cell system.
Yep.
It's gone.
And then like the little Verizon event just on, Monday?
Yeah. And they made a lot of PR screw ups on that. They didn't explain. Apparently somebody shut something down they shouldn't have shut down.
It was entirely caused by a maintenance failure.
Yeah.
As in
What was the other one?
somebody was doing a maintenance.
Somebody did an upgrade. Oh, that was that Cloudflare
Well,
thing.
there was.
Where they were
a
installing
thing.
something new and
Yeah,
crashed
but
it.
the Verizon thing was entirely a core engineer made a software upgrade on an internal routing platform. And it was, from what I am told, it was a 4-character fat finger. Oh, no, it gets better. He shut down all of their peering.
Oops.
Everything that transited Verizon's network, either internal, or just pure internal, terminating in or transiting Verizon's network, all of their peering nationwide went down at the same time.
Oh, I think there's going to be congressional hearings on that one.
The person who did it's already lost their job.
It's not enough though.
Yeah, apparently they realized what they'd done and they were gone by the time it was figured
And
out.
their name will live in infamy.
Their name is going to be a national secret because there's too many people going to try and kill them.
Yeah.
Real side story, if I may, you might have heard this before, but when I was with the Red Cross and Lynn was there, I think on this deal, and we were gonna have the first Cascadia Rising
Yeah.
drill. And I was at the regional meeting and I said, okay, how are we gonna use ham radio? Well, we're not gonna use ham. So we're gonna use cell phones.
Oh,
Cell phones don't work, we use satellites. I said, neither of them will work. And they said, well, no, you don't understand. Satellites always work. I said, no, they don't really. They wouldn't take my word for it. So I had to go to Barry down in Texas and asked him the question. He says, of course not. He said, they'll all fail. He said, the cell phones will obviously go down in an 809. Cell phones, satellite phones will saturate within seconds and be saturated for hours, if not days. So he said, the only thing that's really going to survive is radio. And I went back to the next meeting and I told them who I talked to, and he was the head of all the stuff for the area. And she said, well, it's too late to do it now. And I'm thinking, this is our planning meeting. Why is it too late? And then I got a look from my boss that said, wait, it'll go. Don't burn the bridge. So that was one.
And you're more diplomatic than I am by far.
Yeah. But anyway.
Well, the Red Cross recently got rid of all their sat phones. I used to go in and test them all the time a few years ago, but I would, dig them out of desk drawers with dead batteries.
Right.
No one's going to be at the offices of the Red Cross during an emergency. Where did they keep the sat phones? At the Red Cross. I kind of chewed out the director of disaster services when they still were using them. I said, this needs to be in your car. She lives in Queen Anne. Anything happens, she's not going to Rainier Valley. You have to have the sat phone with you. But my concern about the sat phones, who are you going to call with it?
Ghostbusters.
Nobody else's phone is working. Many institutions use VoIP phone systems now, which requires an internet connection. The internet's going to be down. Broken cables,
No electricity.
no electricity.
Even better. the ones that
Everybody's
don't-
cellular. Everybody's
Everybody, a lot of institutions and a lot of organizations that are using VoIP phones do not know they're using VoIP systems.
Right.
Okay, these guys, I bet most of them think they use regular analog phone lines. I know exactly where their VoIP exchange box is.
And it's got an Ethernet cable coming out of it.
Actually, it's got glass, but yeah.
Another problem with sat phones, you gotta go outside with the ones that are.
And it's got to be decent weather.
Yeah.
That's not a low Earth orbit
Not
satellite.
just
They're way the
that.
hell up there.
But you're also dependent on the ground station at the other end.
Yep.
If your sat phone is going through a local link up to the bird and then straight back down, is your ground station even still standing?
And I think they had iridiums and they were like I think it was Africa somewhere was the ground station. They have
Okay, well,
really
they got lucky
weird
with that.
international phone numbers on these things. But they pulled them all because they were spending like $40 a month each and nobody was carrying them and nobody was maintaining them. And
Yeah, the emergency equipment's really great if you have it with you.
but you also have to know who to call with it. And is their phone working?
Yep.
Do you have all those phone numbers with you? Oh, no, they're on my computer in the office that I can't get to.
That's on fire and underwater.
Right.
I fell into that when I was a brand new ham, just got my license. And I ran into the Radio Shack down in Issaquah, where it used to be there by the grocery store. And the guy had a little badge on his shirt. And he says, I'm a ham. Let's talk. And so I went, oh, I just got my license. He said, oh, great. He said, did you buy a handy talkie? Yeah. I said, oh, yeah. He says, where is it at home? He says, why?
Yeah,
That was
you're
a
never
wake-up
gonna
call.
forget that
He said, put
conversation.
it in your car.
And get extra batteries
And yeah.
and a cigarette lighter adapter and a double A pack.
Good.
Yeah.
So, Bill, could you run over again, just a list of the things that you personally have been involved with where you have used the What3Words? You told us about the hub. Do you have a couple other examples you could give to us as well?
Not really, no, I'm really just starting to push it.
Just, okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna push it with my organization. You guys are guinea pigs. I'm trying out this concept of let's see if this works and are you interested? I would hope so. Hams are experimenters. I don't know why you wouldn't want to experiment with this.
And Roland, I warn,
Mhm.
What3Words?
Oh, and Lynn had a great idea. He's into genealogy.
Good.
Where's my dad's grave?
Oh,
Think about
With
it.
3 words of
Yeah.
that headstone. That's kind of
That's
neat.
how I got my wife interested in What3Words. She's got all of her family bookmarked that way.
Well, I'll tell you, I come up with this afternoon. We've been emailing back and forth for about 2 days. And anybody been to findagrave.com
Yes.
webpage, enter a name, and there they are. So,
As the Mormons run it?
well, it's out of
Not
Utah,
Mormons.
which means they're running it.
Not the Mormons,
Okay.
they work with them.
Findagrave.com.
So
Findagrave.com.
I sent
Good for them.
Find Your Grave an email after. we
And
got
even
off.
better,
He's gonna teach them what 3 words.
And sent them a link and said, hey, look, if you can get people to put 3 words on this, because I've walked hundreds of graveyards thinking, well, there's only 3 graveyards in this town, got to be one of them, sort of a thing.
generally the rule is if you think there's only 3, there's 7.
Supposedly, various park authorities around the world are putting what 3 words on trail signs. So if you got a call for help and you're standing at this, Himalayan trail with 2 goat paths going by, and there it is.
that's fabulous.
You could actually hopefully get a hold of
I
somebody.
am told that some people have taken it upon themselves to mark specific spots at the Appalachian Trail this way.
That's brilliant. Yeah, I think it's gonna
Spots
just
where
take some
people
viral
like to
marketing.
meet up
Well,
or
it gives
places
them a
where
landmark.
places where hikers can have people to drop stuff off or meet up with them. They're putting signs up with the words.
No, I'm gonna keep pushing on the public service events because it's the kind of thing we practice our MCOM skills and serve the public at the same time I didn't get that right away. I just was volunteering to learn how to work my radio, and finally hit me like a brick one day that this is great MCOM practice. You're solving problems, you're finding people you don't know, you're talking on nets where you might not know anybody else, maybe on repeaters that you've never used before. You're solving a lot of problems. I work Chili Hilly. That's a ball. I get lost on that island all the time. If I didn't have navigation, I would be screwed. And they're really good at APRS over there. They've got that down to a science.
Yes.
I still remember the battalion chief coming in a bunch of years ago, probably 10 years ago. He did not know hams had that capability, that we had live tracking of all of our mobile responders in real time. And the guys, they got some sharp Microsoft talent over there. They built a custom app with all of the mile markers, first aid stations, water stops, everything on the map. And you can see all the rovers all the time. Brilliant. And it blew him out of the water. It's like, yeah, we got some tech. We're not too sloppy. Sir.
Yeah, I just give you a little experience where I think this would be very applicable, as I've done the tunnel run up there out of North Platte. And Tom's been there. And several occasions, somebody's fallen, gotten hurt, nothing serious, thank God, but still, they didn't want to continue. And some of the bikers are on there going up down the trail, helping out. And I know they're trying to get a hold of Bob, Ty Culster, one day. He's there, where are you? He's hang on a minute. So he had to stop and to pull up another app to get lat long, and then come back and tell him what his lat long was. Had to repeat it 3 times because he was in a weak area and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, what 3 words would be? Now he may still have maybe not as much of an issue because he didn't have internet, but I don't understand it completely if it all works off SAT. I missed it because I was late, but I think that would be just like you're talking about.
You don't need any connection.
One would be wonderful too.
You don't need any data service on your phone for you to be able to give your current location. And you can also input somebody else's and it'll give you range and bearing.
Yeah.
You're not getting any maps, but it will work. They call it compass mode. So the only criticism I could see, if it required internet, then no, that would not be acceptable. It doesn't.
Yeah.
You just have to realize if you got a radio and the app, you can tell somebody where you're at. If they give you an address, you can look at it and say, oh, I'm only about a half a mile from that in this direction. I can get there.
Yeah, I'm going to suggest it and see if you accept it.
Larry up there had a few comments. One, he wanted to thank you.
Oh,
And
thanks. You're welcome.
Also, he said, downloads maps.me and don't accept the pro offer. You can click away from it because the free works fine.
Yeah, free's great.
And once he downloaded it, he could open it via the
What 3
three
words?
slashes.
2
What 3
maps on
words.
me.
Yeah.
That's great because they're both standalone.
And
Maps on me is great because it doesn't require internet.
I had a few myself.
Okay.
What 911 center serves this area? Is it Bellevue or?
I think it's what they call Norcom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
here's Norcom.
Yeah. So we want to get on there. Anybody know anybody that works there?
Valleycom is the South African county, but up here it's Norcom.
Norcom is Bellevue?
Yeah, Norcom is gonna be
I
Bellevue.
know a guy.
So who do we know that we could talk to over
I
there?
have to look up his name, but we had a tour of the center and talked to the,
I'm on the Bellevue team, but I can't say I do a lot with them. So I should be able to get it.
they were super easy to talk to people.
I know they know about it. I don't know about their 911 center, but it doesn't look like it would be that hard to adopt.
The one concern, I was looking it up, it is a proprietary database, proprietary algorithm. They've got it locked behind an API. They've been.
Right, but they can get a license for it.
They could, but
The
it
idea is to get it
just
built
costs
into
money.
the CAD system. That's what's going to make it fly for dispatchers. It's got to be in their computer aided dispatch.
Yes,
But they got web browsers.
it's true, assuming they have internet, yeah.
And connect to that, how do you share a link with 911? If what I tried to
Supposedly you can text 911
Yeah, you can, yeah.
in our area.
Norcom does accept text and they actually get it on their computer screen.
So
So you can send a text message
I
to
could only-
this 911.
using the What 3 Words, I was
Yeah.
able to send a text to somebody in my contacts.
Right,
without-
but can't you just type 911 as the to address of a text message?
Yep.
Just paste it into that.
That's simple.
I would not
I'm afraid to
suggest
try
doing that.
it.
Don't do that.
Oh,
Don't do that right now. And I've never used it, but I'm glad. I could see, especially in a domestic violence situation where somebody in trouble can't use the phone, but they could get a message out on their phone because it's silent. So I'm really glad we have that. I don't know of any stories about it, but somebody had to spend a lot of money to make that work. So. All you can see is me.
It's Ralph.
Oh, Ralph?
Yeah.
Ralph, go ahead.
You're
Nope.
muted, Ralph.
No audio.
You're muted.
It's not me. I didn't have any audio. I didn't ask any questions.
I think, I think it's the cursor.
Okay,
Oh, cursor.
sorry. Never mind. Rosanna, Dana.
Robin, WA7 CPA, she sent me a message with her What3Word link on it where she's located right now. Perfect.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Play with it.
Forward
Try
that
it
to
out. You'll think of things that we haven't thought of yet.
Yeah, forward that to me if you would. I'd like to see what it looks.
Apparently, a lot of delivery services now accept this. How do you deliver a package to a refugee in a tent in the middle of a park? They want to be able to deliver that package. So a lot of package delivery services now accept What3Words as a destination. That's kind of useful.
Thank you.
I wonder if Amazon does. I spent way too much money there. I should try it out. It's in the middle of the Lake Sammamish Park. Send them a square address. You know,
Well,
wait a couple hours.
Amazon doesn't do anything real time though.
No, that's true.
But I bet you there's a bunch of DoorDash or something like that.
I think DHL is one of the ones listed. Let's see what the What3Words website says about delivery.
I suspect you can use DoorDash. And so, when they say delivery instructions, here's my exact location. Here's a link.